There's a cold wind blowing through the stoop tonight. It's reeling me in without a fight. But the air is crisp and I feel like I can breathe. I think that I can actually see the stars above in heavens that be. But the street lights and the signs just send them away. Gone are the days when you could drink in the park. For alternate sides, you could double park your car.
They call him the guitar doctor, and he's been my guru, my guitar guru. He's just such an amazing guy.
This is New York, and Richie's here, and he's the guardian angel of New York guitars. I think a lot of people probably agree with me on that.
You know, Richie's an institution. He's beyond just a guy who fixes guitars. He understands like what makes an instrument alive or makes it magic, and he's very good at bringing that out of an instrument.
Everyone likes a certain way they like their guitar set up. Richie does it just right. He passionately loves fixing guitars.
I send everybody to Richie. He's great, and he's fast, and he's friendly, and he's just a familiar guy down here in the East Village, especially he's a musician's friend.
He's a fixture, he's a national treasure. I've told everybody I've met in New York, when they ask for guitar work, go to Richie, go to Richie, go to Richie.
God, wife, kids, guitar. Richie, right there to keep that guitar in shape.
So how long has it been since you've been here?
About a year.
Yeah, so you want to take one of those papers on the table there.
Okay.
That'll kind of bring you up to date as to what's going on in the shop.
Okay, awesome.
And then come in with your instrument. Let's take a look. This was an Epiphone special.
Yes, sir.
I met Richie back in 1997. I heard about him through a guitar player in a band called Fluffer, and I needed some really fast, quick fix on my guitar. I had a gig that night, and the pickup wasn't working, and it just happened that day. And so she told me to call Richie, so I called Richie, and I went up there, and he'd never met me before. Just walked in, had the guitar, told him what the problem was. He didn't say much, but he sat down and he took the pickup off, and there was a wire that needed to be reconnected, so he just resoldered it, put it back together, and said no charge. I mean, it took 15 minutes, and that was my first interaction with Richie. So since then, of course, I've become a very loyal. That's about 10, 15 years ago.
I've been pretty lucky in my musical career, and probably the luckiest break in my musical career came through Richie Bax.
Stayed here till 2 a.m. in the morning at times fixing guitars together. We've had like guitars lined up all over here, and we had to do it all in one night. It was kind of, you know, crazy. But I did it with him because you knew that he was so into this.
Richie came to me telling me that a violation had been placed on actually his building, not just his apartment, but on the building. And the violation was placed because they claimed that he was using his apartment illegally for commercial space.
What the city's doing bothering Richie, I have absolutely no idea. You know, it seems like their time and energy could be spent better elsewhere.
Some guy from the city trying to be Mr. Rules and Regulations about that kind of nonsense, that violates part of the spirit of the city to me.
People sort of flexing their muscle, enforcing laws that don't necessarily need to be enforced or maybe could be read a bunch of ways. And that intrudes on people like Richie who, beyond being harmless, are actually enriching the city in a way that, you know, maybe not a lot of people see, but a lot of people benefit from.
I mean, I have students that, if it weren't for Richie being here, wouldn't have their very first guitar.
Saying how you're leaving. Now you tell me that you're here to stay.
I'd never met Richie before, and my dad took me to get this guitar.
There was only one place I could go to. I had to take him to Richie's.
You still showed us.
My dad was looking at me and he was like, "Do you want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want it." So Richie just said, "Just take it."
You don't know what hurt is.
I just think that closing down Richie's, shop would kind of be the ultimate perfect ending to absolutely destroying the East Village.
I'd be anxious to be in your skin, wondering when the fun begins. Got an answer, bring your vomit bowl. Jump in the back and see the door. Everybody will visit you and remember all those things you do. Yeah.
Richie. I love you, Richie. Look at it. Looks great.
See